Hi, everyone. I'm back again with number 5 in my series on David Hawkins. We were talking about the many ways truth is seen and beliefs in according to Hawkins. And I got up to about number 30. And so I wanted to make sure that I continued this session so that I know where I am when I get to the end of this and able to move on to something else. This is the 5th installment. There are 4 other ones that I have done, and I'm trying to do them not real close together, but close enough that you're able to see the next installment. But they're only between 15 and 20 minutes in timing so that it's not overly egregious to listen to it for a long time, because it's been proved that many people believe that we start losing our interest after about 20 minutes. So in that, I try to support the way you feel as much as I do. So yes, I am at number 31, the ideas of truth that Hawkins talks about. He says, truth is non-predictive. The state of the universe is changed merely by our observation of it. You've heard that before about when a butterfly flicks his wings, it creates some kind of a change way out in the universe. And so by observing something, we change it just by its observation. So it's important for you to realize that. So when we realize the truth, we call it an epiphany. We call it a spiritual goosebump. In other words, it's like, oh, yes, I've observed it and now I see it. And that's part of my truth at this point, or part of what I needed to know. So we've all had that, I think, at times. The transformation doesn't occur without interjection of consciousness. So by virtue of the fact that we've interjected our consciousness and our knowing around that particular idea, then it becomes changed. Can you see the change? Well, maybe not, but it has changed in some imperceptible way. The unmanifest does not become manifest without being a consequence of creation. So that which we want and that which we get cannot manifest itself if we don't use our consciousness of creation. Okay? Creation is the unfolding of potentiality. I love that. Creation is the unfolding of potentiality, which is how psychics explain the energies of the times that they read. I think you've all heard before somebody say, well, right today, what I'm getting is this, that you should not ride on a horse today because it probably isn't a good idea. So you don't. But if you had, you might have fallen off the horse if that's what they projected that would happen. But because you didn't, it didn't happen. So a lot of it is the consequences of what we are and how we are reading something in that very moment, which can change. If free will were not a part of life and our future was predictable, as intention can change from one moment to another, if we were able to predict, we would not at all get karmic benefit or capacity to undo that which is negative. That might be part of what he's talking about when he talks about he doesn't like people talking about the future or trying to read the future, because it might create negative karma in the reader. And so it's very, very important to put protection around yourself and also to illustrate the idea that entertainment purposes only. Even when you're talking about my perception of this book, you may get something very, very different out of it. And that's okay. If you've been spurred on to read it, then something in there has called to you to continue your search. There would be no salvation. I'm sorry. There would not be salvation or heaven, states of higher consciousness, if what we read that was negative came through. It would be like we brought that thing in. We don't want to do that. There also would not be a purpose to the life we have, because each thing builds it in us and builds the lesson and builds the truth as we know it. Number 32, truth is non-sentimental. Sentimentalism is mistaken for spiritual compassion. Compassion sees the essence of things. If we are sentimental, it is meant, is what it means to you. I'll read that again because I kind of tripped over some of that. Sentimentalism is mistaken for spiritual compassion. Compassion sees the essence of things. If we are sentimental ourselves, it is what it means to us. If you bring something up, let's say, oh, every Christmas we always did this around the fire and sang songs, and you go, oh my God, yes, it's sentimental to us. Doesn't mean everybody goes through that. When people are grieving for years, it is an addiction to sympathy, and they pull energy out of their solar plexus of others. Have you ever felt a drain on somebody? Have you ever felt like a vampire taking your energy? This can happen as well for people with an addiction to sympathy. They are forever the person that has been wronged, and they need the sympathy in order to sustain themselves. But they're actually pulling it out of those around us, around them, from the solar plexus, which is their gut level. If you are vibrating under 200, you are basically a vampire in what you're doing with that energy. Okay. If you're over 200, it adds to that energy. This is why low vibing people are considered to be more energy vampires than other people are. You aren't a vampire in the, in the mythological sense of the word. You are, if somebody is vibrating that low and needs your energy in order for them to survive, that is vampirism, so to speak, spiritually. When you are at a higher level, you are equals. You're serving each other. You don't have that issue. So you will notice there are some low vibing people, and I've had them and had to eradicate them in my life. They just suck the energy right out of me all the time. And it's not good for them, and it's not good for you at all. Compassion is a different attitude. You empathize. There's a difference between empathy and sympathy. Sympathy is, oh, poor you. Empathy is, I feel your pain. I'm sorry this is happening to you. I send you lots of love and encouragement. You empathize and let those suffer out their own grief. You learn from karmically. Group karma occurs when we are a part of a universal event. For instance, this one really spoke to me. If you were a person that was down in France at the time of the guillotine, and you went out there to watch how people had their heads chopped off, then you have the karma of that entire action thrust upon you. It is a group participation. And nothing happens by accident. We have universal justice, and every decision influences who we are. We might have been a child when that happened, and we were traumatized, and now we have all that trauma that's still visited upon us. But this also means that there may be events that create mass exodus, and perhaps all of those people were paying the karma that they reaped during that lifetime. There are some spiritual teachers who have said, we've erased karma, we've paid all our debts and all that stuff. Whether you believe that or not is always your truth and how you feel about it. I feel as though it's something that just doesn't go away, that we do have to reap what we sow. And this can never be more evident than people who have tried to take down a country. So, every decision influences who we are. Be detached or indifferent to spectacle as well. Spectacle. What is spectacle? What do you mean by spectacle? Let's say you're going and you're on a road and there's a car that's crashed, and everybody's slowed way down, and you got what you call the looky-loos, looking at what happened and who's there. Did anybody die? Did anybody? It's a curiosity because we've been hung up in traffic for hours or whatever. Release yourself from spectacle. Wish them well upon their way. Hope that all is well. When I see an animal on the road, I send them an aho, which sends them on, a prayer over the animal for their sacrifice. Don't get involved with spectacle, if possible. And what do we see on the news all the time? Bunch of spectacle. And we have some people out there that just enjoy having spectacle on the news. And they love it because they're getting some kind of attention. Number 33, Truth is not authoritarian, which is an abuse of authority. Authority is a legitimate position by virtue that you've earned it. If you are an authority on something, it's like when you get a degree. You are an authority on that information, or you've worked to achieve authority in it. Authoritarianism does not require authenticity. Be careful. We don't have to have people that are true and authentic in positions of power when we have beliefs in authoritarianism. Number 4, truth is non-egotistic. Respect for the truth, but no ego investments are needed. We respect the truth. We don't have to tell everybody all the time. Yeah, well, I know that's true. Well, I know everything. We don't. We don't know an iota of anything. Number 35, truth is educational. The means are provided to anyone interested to arrive at their own truth. The world grows by each person learning about it, and the only thing the teacher does is to provide the inspiration and the integrity. The only reason I'm here is to provide you the inspiration and the integrity to seek your own truth. Whether David Hawkins is right or wrong, whether my beliefs in what he says are good or not, it's not me that decides what your truth is. It is only you. I'm not here to convince you. I'm not here to win you over. I'm here to inform. I'm here to show integrity. Also, it warns the student of the downside to the levels of consciousness, because they do have traps, and it is like a parent just to warn you. Be careful. Don't dabble in things that you're not ready for yet. We all have to do that. Number 36, truth is self-supporting. It changes or it charges for the expenses you incur and does not solicit funds or is exploitable. It doesn't charge you. It's self-supporting. You can find it. You can find it either in here. You can find it in a book. You can find it on the web. You don't need to be charged for it. It's free. Important. If you find the information is helpful and you donate to that person for giving them your time and energy, that's wonderful. But you don't have to pay a high price, and you don't have to pay a price at all. Energy exchange is beautiful, but it isn't something everybody has the capacity to give. Number 37, truth is freestanding, and its credibility does not depend on anything external. Its authority comes from the reality of that which is. You don't quote any authority. You don't depend on making any statements of an authority. Truth is self-standing, and it's based on its own understanding and its own realization. So although I could tell you David Hawkins is the one that brought this to me, and I read it, and this is what I think is important, it doesn't matter. He's no authority. You're the authority. He only is providing you the inspiration and the place to learn what it is you might want to learn or leave alone. Truth is natural. It flows through Kundalini at the level that you are currently at in consciousness. 200 plus brain physiology shifts to the left and right brain, and it changes our sequencing of processing. Spiritual energy is divine energy. Don't force it unnaturally. We operate in higher realms as a consequence of the energy of our knowingness. All spiritual evolution is revelation. All spiritual evolution is revelation from us, from the divine. All fear is an illusion. Walk through it, and that knowingness, because you're giving your life itself, comes with a higher frequency vibe. You must be more powerful than your ego. You must move away from it and recognize when it's trying to make it rear its ugly head and say, nope, I'm operating from a spiritual perspective only. With truth, there is no relying on externals. Trust your own knowingness. That is the most important thing in truth. Thank you, everybody. Number 6 coming soon. Take care.